Hello and welcome to another self-isolation political breakdown, the news discussion comedy thing that I do without any discussion at the moment because there's no one to discuss with. I hope everyone's staying inside doing what we're told to do. I don't know about anyone else. Before I go on with actual news stuff, the bit that's really annoying me about everything that's going on is mainly that I'm being told to do it. There's something in my mind that once I'm told to do something, I hate it. And it's especially the government. I can't believe, like normally I spend a lot of time alone anyway, because that's just who I am as a person. But now, being told by the government that I have to stay inside doesn't feel right. Don't like it, but that's besides the point. Right. News stories. We're not talking about the coronavirus. I've got no care. There's enough information. We're actually starting to listen to experts at the moment. It's a good thing. I'm going to not talk about the coronavirus because it's just another fucking day, innit? Let's start with the Department of Transport, because there are other news stories going on. There are other things that we need to have a look at. So the Department of Transport is refusing to release an internal report on the cancelled Garden Bridge project, claiming that it would prejudice against the commercial trusts that developed it. Now, interesting about this, the commercial trust that developed it in liquidation has been for a few months now, so that is bollocks. It's another one of Boris's bridges. There's something about Boris that loves a bridge. He may like the alliteration of it, I don't know, but his answer to everything is bridge. The Brexit with between he wants to do a bridge between Scotland and Northern Ireland, in London, bridge. Everything about him is bridge. I'm surprised. No, we're not going to mention coronavirus. I won't continue with that, but it's another one of the reports that are being suppressed at the moment. Russia is another one. There's a number of others that still aren't being let out, and I can't remember them all at the moment. But this particular bridge costs taxpayers 46 million, which seems a lot for nothing happening. Because it was meant to be a bridge, wasn't it, over London? That was going to be a garden and having all the greenery and everything else. It sounds delightful, yet utterly pointless, which is kind of... it's not needed. It never was. I don't understand the reason why all of Boris's ideas for London tend to involve about just trying to make himself feel good, put his name on something. He's like the fucking Donald Trump of shite. But Donald Trump is shite. But it's another thing to have a look at as to see whether or not they'll actually bring it out, because we have to be careful with regards to the government and coming on to pandemics and emergencies and everything, that we don't lose sight of what is important, which is truth, freedoms, and actually having some transparency. It's why it always gets with regards to, because we're at a point, it's very interesting the point that we're in with the mixture between freedoms and security. At the moment, we're very much security, because of pandemics. Every time that terrorism happens, it's all about security. It's why London is one of the most watched cities in the world. It's for security. It's for your safety. Look after you. We're here to protect you. Well, when they're doing it, they're taking away freedoms. And when they always say, what's the answer to what people tend to say? Listen, if you've got nothing to hide, then it doesn't matter. This is the same argument you should give to the government as to when they keep on suppressing particular stories. If you've got nothing to hide, then why the hell are you not just bringing it all out? And people will say, well, it's not important at the moment. We've got other things to worry about. We've got other things to concern ourselves about. But when you've got that, and you've got that idea, then what's going to happen? Everything's going to be over in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 20 years. Who knows how long everything will last? And we'll forget about it, and then it will move on, and then it will be in a little bit in a paper. Maybe Private Eye will do something about it, but not enough people fucking read that for it to be a big deal. We'll forget about it. We'll move on. Same with Boris Johnson and giving the money to that woman he was sleeping with as well. Anyway, next story is I understand this isn't as good as the other stuff that no one watches that I do. I get that, but I want to keep something going, and I can't debate myself. because the voice is very much in me head, and so I can't explain that to everyone. But that's besides the point. You see, all of my comedy colleagues, they put out a lot of creative stuff, some wonderful stuff. People like Andy Barr's doing a live thing on Facebook for all of his friends, which is very good to watch. Alistair Beckett-King's doing some lovely stuff. A lot of comedians are doing some wonderful things. Chris Betts doing some funny stuff. Dane has chucked out a free video. John Hastings chucked out free video. Next Up's doing some things. And I realise just how uncreative I am, because all I do really is rant about news, and normally I write jokes on it, but this is just literally me reading the news, having an idea about it, not even putting in a punchline. Wouldn't it be nice if I attempted a punchline once in a while? I mean, it would be wonderful, but I can't be bothered with it. I'm literally watching myself at the moment in the camera. I don't like it. I do not like seeing myself. But this is where we are. I have to do something, because I'm already losing my fucking mind. And if I continue, I'm going to be licking a wall or something by the end of it. And we all know you can't fucking start licking walls, because it'll probably got fucking some form of virus on it. I'm feeling fine in terms of health, though. But that's mainly because I spend all my time drinking. I'm not even sure what health feels like anymore. But I'm digressing. Supermassive black hole. That's where we're at. Supermassive black hole at the centre of the Milky Way is becoming more active. Now this is called Sagittarius A, and I think it's star, but it could be asterisk. But I don't see why they would call it Sagittarius A asterisk, because that makes no sense. So I assume it's a star, but it's that little thing you've got. It's just a the multiplication sign on Excel. That's what they've got there. So I think it's A star, but they've just done it with that. I don't know why you'd do it any other way. It probably is star. Let's assume it's star for the moment. Now it's the most energetic X-ray flares have been increasing. Energetic, yeah, I'm right. So it's a team of French and Belgian researchers have found that the rate of bright flares have increased threefold since the 31st of August 2014. Now, that's potentially showing that the black hole is becoming more restless. I'm not 100% sure what that means. I can only assume that it's been in its job too long, and it's some form of black hole midlife crisis that is going to screw a younger star and destroy the universe. I mean, that would be not my favourite apocalypse. I think everyone has their own favourite apocalypse. Personally, mine is just eradicating humanity via gonorrhea. Because as we know, with gonorrhea, you can't have children anymore, and so we just end up just rotting and flesh falling off of each other. Being fucked whilst being fucked is what we deserve completely. It would be one hell of a way to go. Poetic, some may say. We actually fuck ourselves to death. What a way that would be. Anyway, FCA, that's what we're on to. The FCA has asked banks to explain why they have raised their overdraft interest rates to almost 40%. Now this is the likes of, you got the likes of Lloyds, you got HSBC, Santander, NatWest, all of these people, they've hiked it up to interest rates from like around 39.9%, also some like 0.5% less, some to 49%, but it's all been over, say, all over 39%. They've moved their overdraft limits to their interest rates. So this is the banks are responding to new rules that will come in on the 6th of April. Now these rules are there to deal with complicated overdraft charges. If you're on overdraft, you know that they do daily stuff that's like if you've got this amount of money and you're on for this amount of days, then it's this amount that we're charging you. But you can find that with some of them working together and how they all go, some of their interest rates can actually be higher than payday loans. So you get to a point where you're coughing up money, and some of it's with overdrafts as well. The unagreed overdraft. A lot of it's with the unagreed overdraft. So you just go. Banks are able to not let you do that. But they still allow it because they get more money from it. This is it. Everyone's trying to fucking bend you over. We're at a point, really, that all we are hoping is that they use a good enough condom. This is where we are. We're being fucked all over the place. So we're being fucking double penetrated at some point with some of these knobheads screwing us over. But what's interesting with this 39.9% and everything else is seeing them work together. Because they've all gone, right, okay, this is happening, the FCA want this, so what are we going to do? And they seemingly have worked collectively to say, right, this is what we put it across, 39.9%, we put it all. This is a number of the banks, not all of them, but a number of them. And it reminds me of the LIBOR scandal from, I think it was 2014? I think it was, when the LIBOR rates are the interest rates that banks lend to each other at. And they get asked every day what the interest rate is that every bank is doing, and they have to send it out. Now, there's a scandal a little while ago, which frankly should have been a lot more in a paper, should have been a lot bigger, but it wasn't, where they manipulated it. So it made it look like they were making more money. They were manipulating profits so that for trades that they were doing, they were getting more money. Only one person was arrested for that particular thing, which seems strange because a lot of banks are working together. Only one person got done for it. So it's one of those things you don't want to talk about conspiracy. I don't trust conspiracy. I don't like conspiracy. Conspiracy is a wonderful way to keep the government from continually doing bad things, because everyone's there going, well, I think you'll find that the lizard people are going along and manipulating everything. You've got the Illuminati there. The Illuminati control everything. You know, they're just going, make the government's having child poverty keep on rising. Why don't you deal with that instead of thinking that 4 people are running the fucking world as though anyone's actually able to keep secrets? No one's able to keep secrets. That's why the idea of most of the conspiracies are bullshit. It's ridiculous. I mean, if Elvis Presley was still alive, he would have released a fucking song. Of course he was. He was an artist. All he wants is fucking attention. Anyway, I can't remember the point I was at now. Banks, charges. What the charges will mean is that the changes mean that banks are no longer able to charge daily fees for unarranged overdrafts and must instead offer customers an annual interest rate. Now, because of this, they've increased the overdraft interest rates. So if you are quite deep into your overdraft, you'll probably be better off than those who are not into their overdraft as deeply, because the more you have, the banks tended to up the interest rate. So if you're quite deep in, that's why it would have been over the like payday loan level. But if you weren't deep into the overdraft, you would have been paying a lot lower interest rate. So you're going to be screwed over with that because your interest rate's going to get higher. And final story as we're getting on is the Windrush report. The Windrush report came out and said that the Home Office demonstrated institutional ignorance and thoughtlessness towards issues of race during the Windrush scandal, which is the longest way I've ever heard it being said that the Home Office is racist. Which of course there's institutional racism. Look at the history of the Home Office. Everywhere from Theresa May going forward has been racist. We don't have enough ethnic minorities in the Home Office to have anyone go, are you sure this is right? Are you sure we should be doing this? But it's just a lot of majority white people going, I don't see the problem. I do not see the problem with doing a go home ban. It seems absolutely fine. Let's just get a van and tell foreigners to go home. Why do we tell British people to go home? Because they don't have passports, because everyone needs a passport. Fucking madness of it all. And I also said that some ministers still do not accept the full extent of the injustice. So you still have ministers going, what's the problem? Of course we sent people away, but we did give them the little leaflet to tell them to put on a Jamaican accent. So what more do these people want from us? Because don't forget, the Windrush is still being affected. The Windrush generation is still being affected by all of this, be it actually being deported when they shouldn't have been, not being able to use the NHS at particular times to make their any illnesses worse. I mean, getting to the point, there's a compensation scheme that was set up last April. The compensation scheme had an estimated budget of over £200 million. 200 million as the minimum estimate for this. And so far, it is paid out £62,189. That's madness. It's because of the complexity and how slow everything's working. Because this is what the government like to do. The same with universal credit and everything. It's, let's say we're going to do something very nice, but make it so impossible that hopefully you'll be dead by the time that you're going to receive anything, then we don't have to do it. And I know at the moment the government is doing some very nice things, but this is like fucking wartime at the moment. And if they didn't, there would be beyond riots at the moment. Being shitty to the Windrush generation is not going to cause a riot in this country. Should do. Absolutely should do, but it won't do. Making sure that at the moment there isn't a riot, that is important. That is why they're doing what they're doing at the moment. Getting people to care about the Windrush generation isn't the same about getting people to care about not having fucking toilet roll. Should everyone have a bidet now? I'm not even sure how bidets work, but it'll be, because it's the thing, other countries, they look at us like we're weird for wiping our asses how we do, because they've all got like bidets and all of this stuff. Potentially that could be a future, because that would save the sewage as well. Then how would you dry yourself? There's so many questions to be answered. I'd need to research how to do it. It's very weird. But that's really all of the stories. Priti Patel apologised on behalf of the Home Office and the government, but that means fuck all. I hope you've stuck through to the end of this. A couple of days with more news. I'll stay away from the coronavirus and do some other stuff. And hopefully soon I'll be able to get some guests on and actually have something interesting and worth watching for you all where we can discuss. In the meantime, you can buy me albums on Bandcamp for like, one of them's like £1. Yeah.